Folks, welcome to the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. Cassandra Terry, the mindset coach and founder of Manifesting Miracle Makers, rounded up her LinkedIn family once again. First, we've got Brian Smart, Mr. Content and Dadpreneur. He's striking the perfect balance between raising his youngest daughter and creating masterful content. Next, meet Denise Annalise Spiller, the gig expert and relentless traveler and writer. She turns every gig into an adventure. Then there's Jay Pasqua, the storytelling strategist, a poet and voiceover artist. He's weaving tales that'll make you think, laugh, and maybe even change your perspective. Get ready for a show filled with wisdom, inspiration, and the magic of family. Let's welcome Cassandra Terry and the rest of the family.
To the baby 509, welcome. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. It is Wake Up Wednesday. And on Wake Up Wednesday, we talk about intentionality and the power of being intentional. I've got my brother in the studio with me, Jay Pasqua, the storytelling strategist. You heard what he said. He weaves a tale, and he does exactly that. He drops gems for us every day. And then on other platforms, he has his newsletters and he has his audio rooms, and I'm a part of one of them, Story Time with Jay, on Saturday mornings, and it's fabulous. We learn more about his culture, and we learn about the man. We learn about how he became the storytelling strategist, and I am very fortunate that not only is he the storytelling strategist, but he's my friend. He's my brother. Welcome, Jay. It is great to have you with us. Can't wait to hear what you have to share on being intentional. I got a little bit of a preview, y'all. So Jay's got some things he wants to share today. Kim, welcome from Philly. It is always great to have you with us. Oh, so many people. Gina, Shirley, Annie, V, Yosvani. Welcome. Zesby, Marty, welcome. You guys come on in, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, whatever your favorite beverage is, and get comfortable. And let's talk about getting our days, getting our lives in order, and making sure that we are spending our most precious resources, our time, our energy, our focus on the things that are going to bring us to where it is that we would like to go. Are you clear about what you want to do with your life? Are you clear about the things that you would like to accomplish? And if you are clear, do you have a roadmap to get there? If you have a roadmap to get there, are you working your plan? Because it starts with the plan, but we have to put energy into it. And so all of that requires us to be intentional. So today specifically, we're going to talk about two different ways that we show up in our lives. And I hope we move from point A to point B very, very quickly if you happen to be in this first category. And it's I want to talk about is the difference between living our lives on autopilot versus living our lives on fire. When you're on autopilot, I looked it up in Collins Dictionary, and it says when we are on autopilot, we are acting without thinking about what it is that we're doing, usually because we've done it many times before. So it's routine, so we're just kind of going through the motions. Our lives are so much more valuable than that. Don't you think? That if we just wake up a little bit, if we just get intentional, because if you're on autopilot, you're just going through the motions. Life gets pretty boring, gets pretty mundane, and you're just doing the same things over and over again because it's what you're accustomed to doing. So every once in a while, it will do you good to stop and think about what it is you're doing, and not just what, but why. So you can move from that life on autopilot to living your life out loud, living your life on fire. How do we go about doing that? I know some of you guys can't see my screen. Well, you can see me, but you can't see. I've got Brian Smart just joined us as well. So I have Brian and I have Jay in the studio, and they can see, those who, it depends on where you're watching me from, where you're connected. whether or not you can see the other screen. I'm working on it so that I can get everybody together, but it's a process. So you guys hang in there, and eventually you'll be able to see everything that I'm sharing. So we're about to start talking about how it is we can go about living our lives on fire versus living our lives on autopilot. Hey, Trina, I see you there, sister. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And it starts with taking an assessment of our lives. Assessing your life. Are the habits, the thoughts, the environmental issues, the things that are around you, are they keeping you from living your life on fire? You have to do a good, hard look at the life that you're living and assess whether or not it aligns with the life that you really want to live. If you're living it and you're living it well and you have exactly what you want, God bless you. Keep doing more of that. You want to keep generating that same energy so that you can keep living, walking in the sunshine. But if you see some parts of your life where you would like things to be different, you have to start to think about what is causing it to be as it is. So what are my habits? What are the things that I do over and over again? How am I thinking? Who am I spending my time with? Or any of those things? What are my inputs? What am I taking in? What types of conversations am I having with people? What am I watching on TV? What am I listening to? Am I taking in the things necessary to get myself in the mindset that is going to help me accomplish my goals? Or am I listening to negativity and things that kind of push me down and drain my energy, so it's hard for me to do the work necessary to get to the life that I desire? We have to start with that assessing. Thank you, Kimberly. I saw the rose go by. You are amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's important, because when you're doing that assessment, you're determining what are the things I need to get rid of. We talked about the 4 P's before. That's the first P, is the pruning season, getting rid of the things that no longer serve you. So if you have some habits that are not healthy or not conducive to the life you want to live, you have to change those habits. If your thoughts are negative, you don't realize that you deserve and that you're capable of having the life that you desire, then maybe it's time to do some work there, right? Work on your inner voice, work on connecting and getting those negative thoughts out of your head. Are there environmental issues that are in the way? What kind of environment have you created? Is it full of distractions, or is it set up for your success? Do you spend your times with people who drain your energy and drag you down, or people who uplift you and help and encourage you and help you to accomplish the things that you want? Ask yourself those hard questions, and the things that don't fall on the side of moving you forward, it's time to get rid of them. Prune, get rid of those things. After you've assessed your life, you have to be really clear. You have to decide that what you want, and you have to want it enough that you have to keep working for it, even when things get difficult, because things will get difficult. I mean, life keeps lifing, things keep happening, obstacles show up. But what do you do? How do you deal with those? Are you able to just keep moving forward? Are you able to learn from those distractions, learn from those obstacles, integrate that learning into your life and how you show up or how you tackle that problem, and keep moving forward? That's where we want to get. That's the spark. That's the spark that you're looking for. So you may not be living your life on fire yet, but you're at least starting to create a spark. I've made a decision. I want something different. I'm decided, I'm committed, I'm going to work for it. Now you're in that preparation stage, right? What do you need? That's when you go to start the next area. Then you have, because we're starting a fire, right? We're going from nothing. Imagine you're camping and you're out in the woods. You don't have a match. You don't have your normal stuff, but you've got to create a fire. What are you going to do? First, you have to look around and figure out where you are and what environment are you in, right? That was the first thing. Then you have to decide, what are the things that I have to get rid of that's going to make it difficult for me to get this fire going? That was the second thing, and now we're ready to collect the things that we need in order to get ready to make this fire, right? So you have to keep providing that spark. And in order to do that, because we have a little spark, but we have to get to a flame. So how do you do that? You have to make sure you have the right ingredients, and you have to slowly add them in. So we're not talking about, lighting a match or hitting a lighter and getting it instantaneously. It's nice when that happens. But when we do the work, When we actually put in the effort, we're building up new muscles, we're building up new skills, we're getting better so that we're actually capable of sustaining this fire. We're capable of having the life that we desire. So you want to get the right ingredients. What do you need? Do you need training? Do you need to do some work to reset your inner voice? What do you need? Do you need support from a friend? Do you need to take a class? You have to say, what are the ingredients that you need? And you slowly start to take those new habits and build those into your life. So choice by choice, decision by decision, action by action, you're moving yourself forward towards the goals that you want. But it's step by step. Have you ever tried to build a fire? I used to be a Girl Scout. I was a brownie and a Girl Scout. And if you aren't careful, right, and you don't build it just right, you see them kind of make that little pyramid, little triangular shape, and then you slowly, after you get the spark, you slowly add the ingredients in. If I dump everything in at once, what happens to my spark? I smother it. I put out the fire before it even has a good chance to take. So those small, consistent steps every day, changing your behavior is what's going to get you from a spark to a flame. If you try everything at once, you end up getting overwhelmed. You end up burning out, and before you know it, you're no longer excited. You're no longer, really putting in the work, and you start to lose that momentum that you had. So get comfortable and get excited about slow, consistent steps taking you towards the life that you'd like to lead. It's important. It's important. We talk about the lottery. I mentioned it yesterday. You get the big win and you're broke in a few years because you don't know how to manage your money. But when you actually save and make good decisions with your money, invest in the right places, say no to some things that you'd really like to have because you really can't afford them. When you start to develop those habits, slowly, you see your net worth growing, right? You see your money balance going in the right direction. Same thing with the fire. So we may not hit that windfall. We may not win the lottery, but if we're making those good choices every single day and slowly stoking that fire, before you know it, instead of smothering it out, you'll start to get to a flame. And then once you have the flame, it requires maintenance. You have to be intentional and committed to providing what it's needed to keep the fire going. That's the pace stage in the four P's. That's where you're really taking those habits and you're using them on a regular basis. So you're building that skill set and getting better. That maintenance period is important. And I don't know. I was in my Girl Scout mood last night when I was thinking about this and going through the archives of some intentionality discussions that I've had in the past, and I ran across this one, and I was like, you know what? Let's dust this one off and let's talk about it again. But being intentional and being committed and providing what you need to keep that fire going is that next step. And before you know it, you have a full blown flame. That's the propel. That's that last P in the four P's. Everything's worked together. You've gotten rid of the stuff you don't need, pruned. You've done the things that got the new habits and ways of life or new skills, prepare. And then you are paced. You're sturdy working that fire. You're making good decisions every day. You're adding in a little oxygen. You see them blow on the fire, right? And it gets hotter and hotter and hotter during that pace period until boom, you've got a full flame in front of you. And now that's the propel period where everything's working together. It's the fruit of your labor coming to fruition, and you've accomplished what it is that you set out to do. And you do that maintenance, you do the work, you keep going. Before you know it, you may change locations, and now you need to start all over again. You got a new fire. So you got this blazing fire going, and the fire represents you living your life with intention and achieving the goals that you set out for yourself. You're propelling, you're there, you're in that moment. Life feels easier. You're in the flow. Have you ever heard people talk about the flow? It's a great place. It's when you're in the flow, when it's like, it's a different type of autopilot. It's when it just feels like everything aligns and supports what it is that you're trying to do. The people show up that you need. The resources are there. Things just seem like all of a sudden they got a little bit easier. That's how we usually, get notice people. And like, oh man, everything comes too easy for them. Well, we just see them at that stage in life. We didn't see them when they were being pruned and losing things that they thought they needed. We didn't see them when they were up late at night studying or working on their lines or writing their book or, learning how to speak. Whatever skills that we're admiring in that person, they put some work in. We just wasn't a part of the preparation stage of their life. And then they had all the no's. They had the doors shut in their faces. They applied for their dream job and they didn't get it. And they kept going back. They kept going back until the life that they desired started to unfold for them. That's that pace period. That's the period where people are most frustrated because you feel like I've done all the right things. I said I wasn't going to do this anymore and I don't do it. I said I needed to develop these habits and I'm doing better. I'm doing those things every day. And I don't understand why it's not working for me, why things are not coming to fruition. You're in the pace period. That period can be so, so frustrating, but things are happening. They just aren't as obvious. Things are happening. Your roots are growing deeper. You're getting stronger. You're learning the skills. You're getting better. You're figuring out the things that are necessary for you to not just get to that stage of life, to get the fire going, but to actually maintain the fire. And once you get the fire, maintain the fire, you can teach other people. That warmth won't be just for you. You may keep a whole city warm because you've done something so fabulous that everybody else can take advantage of it too. You just never know where it's going to take you. It depends on your dream, what it is that you're trying to do. But the more you stoke that fire, the more you stay faithful during that pace period, the bigger fire you get, right? You keep adding. You keep giving it the oxygen. You fan the fire. You make sure that it doesn't go out. When you're willing to put in the work, that flame will be huge, whatever that flame represents for you. And it will burn bright, not just for you, but for others as well. So that's the propel period where you've got that full raging fire and you get to the warmth and the enjoyment of seeing all the work that you've done up to that point coming to fruition. So I see we've got a lot of comments that have come in. So let me see. All right. So we recognize Kim and Trina already. Thank you, ladies. Cynthia, I have not seen you in a while. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Sonia. I'm glad you had a safe flight and that you are back with us. Sharbani, I'm probably butchering your name, so I apologize. But she said, I agree. Consistent steps does help us to achieve our goals. Yeah, those consistent steps will move you right in the direction of your goals and build you up along the way. So not only do you achieve them, but you can maintain them. I agree. Ali says, hugs, everyone. Intentional is one of my words for 2024. Paced and not pasted. And let's see. Oh, goodness. Frugnition. Jay, there Ali is Ollieing again. So check out these comments. Yes, like the book from Mihaly. Oh, I can't do that name. Fantastic Fire. So thank you, Ali. Thank you, Shabani, Sonia, Cynthia, Trina, Kim. Glad to have you all with us and sharing your thoughts. We are getting it done. Michael says, happy Wednesday, Fam 5. I see you there, Michael. Thank you for joining us as well. We've got people from all over the place, which makes me very happy. But Jay, we've talked about stoking the fire, going from a life on autopilot where there's nothing happening, but the same old, going through the motions, to going from a spark to a full-fledged fire. And we've equated that to living your life on fire and making sure that you're conscious and intentional and making these decisions on a daily basis to move you towards your goals. I am absolutely on the edge of my seat. I would love to hear what you'd like to share with us this morning.
Sure, absolutely. That's, I always start out with with a Bible verse. So let's look at this one. That
Okay.
a lot of people are familiar with the Jabez prayer.
Oh yeah.
But what about the Jabez prayer being that example of intentionality?
Mm-hmm.
So take a look at this. So it's the first book of Chronicles,
First Book of
chapter
Chronicles.
chapter 4, verse 10.
Okay.
Um, and it's well, I'll just read the prayer. So, and Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, "Oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain." So God granted him what he requested. And there's 4 parts basically to the prayer. That specific requests or requests, right? And from the lens of intentionality, specific request shows that you are intentional with what you're saying or what you're having a conversation with God about.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is the awareness of consequences, because in the prayer he says basically, let it not cause pain, right? So he's aware that if he increases his territory, there may be some pain involved, right? Maybe some people don't want him in that area. Maybe some people would fight against it, right? And so he's trying to mitigate that in his prayer. And then there's, for me, the important part, that's faith and dependency. Because despite the challenges implied by his name, so the full reading with Jabez, his name means pain or sorrow.
Sorrow.
His mom said, I gave birth to this dude and it was not easy. So it's like, Jabez is going to be his name because there was a little bit of sorrow. There was a little bit of pain involved. And so taking that, but understanding where he came from and moving to the positive, that positive change in his life where he increases his territory. And then lastly, it's the answered prayer. The passage basically concludes, it ends stating that God granted Jabez's request. And this, to me, emphasizes really how God works. That with an intentional and heartfelt prayer, God will be willing to respond. And so, to take it all together, the prayer really looks at the intentionality in prayer by its specificness, its awareness of consequences, its expression of faith, and the acknowledgement of a dependency, right? Depending on God. And it encourages believers like myself to approach God with clear and intentional prayers. So I'm when you look at the Jabez prayer, it wasn't like I'm going to read this prayer and it's going to be all magical. It's not magic. That's not what that prayer is. I mean, it may seem like magic to folks, but it's not. If you come with that intentionality to your prayers, right? And it helps your mindset when you do come with intentionality. All the things that, all the P's that she talks about, Cassandra talks about all the time, starts with that intentionality, that mindset, right? And it'll take you through that journey. And I'm listening to myself this morning because a couple of things. I rearranged my office. I did a couple of things to increase the light and have a really good picture, video quality, change the camera there. So that was intentionality, right? And then I said to the fam, hey, keep me honest. I'm gonna put up this board. I promise, in the new year. And I did. I did. This shows the example of intentionality. But here's where I'm failing. What I didn't say and what wasn't put out there, I think underscores the need for me to think again.
Okay.
So I've got this blackboard, this glass blackboard up here. And really, it doesn't say much on it. And two, I have this book that I've been working on since last year. Now, I could say that there's been an issue and use that as an excuse. It's a big issue. I tried to clear up and clean up some files, and in the process, I lost a bunch of files.
Right.
And I could have stayed stuck there and stayed upset. And I might have, but I've got 6 chapters that I've rebuilt from scratch.
I bet they're better than the original.
You know what? I'll be honest. I think they are. I really do. It may be a lot shorter and a lot more concise, but so that means a little bit more work needs to be done on pages as far as my personal feeling about it. But the point is, yes, you're right. It's gotten a little bit to the point. It's gotten punchier. It's going to be more poignant to me. All right. So 2 things are going to occur today. I'm going to take that intentionality on doing my book and making sure I put some timelines on that blackboard. Yep. So that there I am living intentional, making sure that I'm going to get this book done. I don't want to be that guy that says, hey, I'm the storytelling strategist. Well, what do you got to show for it? Do you have any stories? Do you have a book? You know what? It's somewhere.
It's in here. It's in here. We need it on paper, sir. Put it on paper. We want to read it.
See, so absolutely, I can't be this storytelling strategist and not have a strategy. Oh, So I'm holding myself accountable, but I'm also asking the fam and people in the audience to do the same. I'm putting it out there, and that's being intentional.
It is.
It's really being intentional. I'm being a little bit vulnerable. I'm gonna get some DMs and such now that I've put it out there, but it's because I need to. I can't just keep this information to myself, right? So, Rules of Engagement in Storytelling. That's the book. That's the title of the book, and that's the book I'm going to get out there. So thank you, Cassandra, and everybody in the audience for hearing me out here. And I'm thankful to myself for holding myself accountable. And I know that we've got some people out there who will do the same for me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there were a couple of things. Don't unmic. Don't go on mute yet. I'm not done with you, sir. There were a couple of things that you said that I wanted to highlight. And one of them, the first one, we're going to come back and apply that to you and finishing your book. So you talked about the importance in the prayer of Jabez of specificity, right? And I mean, we can think about that in terms of anything. You could go for, you could just be wishing and hoping and planning, and you want a new car, right? You want a new car. And then all of a sudden someone comes along and gifts you a car. You're happy to have the car. You're on wheels, right? It's new. That's what you said you wanted. But then you're not enjoying it as much and you wonder why. It's because you weren't specific in what it was you really wanted. Did you want a car? Did you want a truck? Is it an automatic? Is it manual? Does it have a sunroof? Is it, there's all these things. When you think about a vehicle, that is a very, very, very broad range of options that we all have in that place. The range gets smaller based on what we can afford to purchase. But even in any purchasing boundary, there are lots of options. So you need to be specific. I would love a red truck that has 4-wheel drive because I like to go out mudding when it rains. You have to be real specific about what it is you want. Then what beyond a shadow of a doubt when you've actually accomplished it. Sometimes our dreams are so broad and so not specific, so almost random in thought that we may have accomplished some of the things along the way and not even realize it. So get really, really specific about what it is that you want. Write it down. See yourself in your visualizations. Be specific. See yourself driving that car. Where are you going? Who's in the car with you? Are you driving or are you in the passenger seat? Because maybe you don't like to drive, so somebody is driving it for you. Be very specific. Smell the new car smell. See yourself in it. Feel the leather or whatever type of specifics you put in there. Immerse yourself in that experience. I'm using something really basic like a car, but this could be any point in your life, your romantic life. You want a partner. Be specific about how that partner fits into your life. I think Steve Harvey talked a long time ago about wanting a car. And he went on and on about, he was saving for this car. He wanted to get this car, but no matter what, it just didn't happen. And then one day, it may have been his mom, but somebody said to him, but you haven't made room for the car. Your garage is full. It doesn't look like you're planning for this car. And he said he took that seriously. He went and cleaned out that garage. He made a place for exactly where that car was going to be parked. And in a matter of time, that car was there and parked in that spot that he created for it. That's why I talk about your environment. And that's why I talk about fully immersing yourself in what it is that you desire. So you experience it. Brian talked about it yesterday. You should believe it before you see it. You should be really immersed in that experience with all of your senses turned up. Smell the car, hear the engine roaring, or not, because your car is so soft and quiet. It's not a sports car. It's a luxury car. So you don't hear a thing. Get all that fixed in your mind and be really, really specific about what it is that you want. So that was the one thing that you said that sparked something. And then the other thing was about his name meaning sorrow. I can't imagine the experience as a mom that I would have to name my child Sorrow. But if that is your case, maybe that's not your name, but that's the environment that you were in, that you were in an environment that did not lift you up. Just remember, it is not where you started. It's where you end up. I started in a small town on government assistance, living with my grandmother who was in her retirement years. And we had way more than we had money. Sometimes there was not quite enough food to get through the month. That poverty experience stuck with me, and it informed a lot of the decisions that I made and how I went about living my life. I learned in those experiences. I don't see them as negative experiences. I see them as just experiences. And I learned some things that I want and some things that I absolutely don't want, from those experiences. I saw some behaviors in my environment that would further the poverty situation. So I knew what not to do. So I'm more careful than a lot of people in my family about how I spend my money. I am. I don't hoard it. I like stuff. I like pretty. So I enjoy my experiences in my existence. I like to travel. So I do things, but I was talking to a family member. It's probably been a year or two now, and she said it surprises me to hear you say that you can't do something yet, because I know your financial situation is much better than mine. So something that I think would be an easy yes for you, sometimes you don't immediately jump in. I'm paraphrasing the conversation, but that's basically what she was saying. I know you can afford this, so it's surprising to me that you're not just jumping in. Well, the reason I can afford the things that I can afford is because every time something came up, I'm not like this. Have we talked about it? Is it budgeted? If I do this, what's going to be the repercussions? Are all the bills paid? Is the fridge stocked? Are we okay? You need to think about those things. If I do this, if I have this temporary pleasure today, am I going to suffer for that tomorrow or next month or later in the month because I've spent it all up front? So now the month is coming to a close and I don't have the money I need to feed my family, to keep the lights on, whatever the case may be. And when she and I was talking, she said, it surprises me, but it's made me stop and think a little bit differently, because I hear all the time, well, it only costs this and it only costs that, or I went in and I got it here because they had this big sale. But before your month is up, that little bitty thing that didn't cost much, that gave you a little bit of temporary pleasure, all of those things added up throughout the month. And that's where your money went. And now that we're getting closer to the end, you can't pay your bills. You need me to help you. Do I mind helping? I used to not. I mind a lot more now than I ever did, because I realized what a crutch I was. I realized that people were making bad decisions with their money because they knew if they called me, I was going to cash app them. I was going to Zelle them. I was going to bail them out of whatever situation that they created for themselves. They were creating those situations. They were less than they weren't frugal. They were very relaxed in their spending, because at the end of the day, they had a bailout plan, and it was me. After a while, my feelings were hurt. You don't know my situation up close and personal. You think you do, but you don't pay a bill at my house. You don't make sure my kids are good. You don't make sure that I'm good. You don't know the emergencies that I help other people with. You don't know. You're in my purse without ever making a deposit. So you don't really know my situation. You have an idea of what you believe it is, because I've been gainfully employed and well employed for 24 years next month. So I've had a great job for a very long time. They've seen me travel. They've seen, how my kids were raised. And so they formed in their minds my situation. They think they know. So coming and asking me for money, there's no even real thought put into it. Oh, you can afford it. And I used to explain and overshare my situation, because I didn't want people to feel like I was being mean, or like I had it to give and I just didn't want to. I didn't care about their suffering and things like that. So when I couldn't, I would over explain. They didn't believe me anyway, because they actually, at the end of the day, they didn't quite care about my situation as much as they cared about getting out of theirs. And so sometimes you got to look yourself in the mirror and you have to look at your environment and how you're contributing to it to make your own life more difficult. Wasn't the rant that I intended to get on, but maybe somebody needed to hear it. I see the hearts flying, right? I was talking about, your beginning not dictating your end. So whatever your name is today, whatever circumstances have labeled you, whatever people say and think and feel when you're in their presence, don't care. Let it go. Do not allow anyone else to write your narrative. You get to decide who you are and how you represent it. I'm writing my obituary. I don't know if I trust anybody enough to get it right. I joke with my husband all the time, especially when we're arguing. I'm like, Lord, I'm not letting you write my obituary. I don't know what you're going to tell them people. But you're writing it every day. You really are. You are writing it by the life that you live. You are writing it by the impact that you have. You're writing it by how you're interacting with the people around you. So you write it. You write it by the way you live your life. But do not allow the sound bites, the limitations, and the agendas of others to control your life, your focus, your resources, because the only person that's going to really end up hurting in that situation is you, because you will figure out that you've lived your life for others. And there's some goodness in that. But first, you've got to figure out your purpose. Why are you here? What are you designed to do? And be intentional about doing that. And the things that take you away from that, people included, those are distractions that are in the way and slowing up your progress. So learning how to manage all of that is the work of our lifetime. It'll keep going. But understand that you deserve the fruits of your labor. You deserve to get what you've been working for. If you do the work and step by step stay with it, just watch those things start to come about. And understand that you deserve it. Feel like you deserve it. And know that you're capable. And so, Jay, the last thing I was going to say to you is, yeah, you asked us to DM you. You asked us to hold you accountable, but you need to be more specific about exactly what this book situation is for you. Are you going to write a few paragraphs today? Are you going to write a chapter? Are you going to review the chapters that you've already written and lock those down and be done with them? Not to go back until you're going to read them end to end. What's the date that you're going to be done? Fix that date in your mind first. Commit to it and say, come hell or high water, I'm going to be finished on this date. And you write that date real big on that board. And you look at that date every day and you ask yourself, have I done at least one thing that's going to move me towards that date? And if you haven't, it ain't bedtime yet, brother. It's not bedtime yet, because you haven't followed the commitments that you set for yourself. It's not for me. It's not for us, but it's for you. It's for Renee. It's for the beautiful grandbabies. It's you bringing forth what was put into you to share with the world. And that's not going to just affect you. It's going to affect your whole household. And it's going to affect all of us that are attached to you. So stop blocking our blessings and come on and give us this dang book, man. What you waiting on? What's the date? So I won't put you on the spot today, because I want you to take today and think about that, and think of, with all the stuff, things that you're responsible for, and all the lifing that's lifing around you. Pick your day, and then you ask us tomorrow to support you, because we know what we're supporting. Right now it's real generic. It's not specific. So we need some specificity so we can help you like you've asked us to. So you off the hot seat.
Thank you. I was going to joke and say, February 31st. but I know I didn't want to take away from the mindset coach where I need to be in my mindset about things. Mm-hmm. I really appreciate that, Cassandra. And that's why she's my sister.
That's right. That's all love. I wouldn't even waste my energy, my time, my nothing, if you're not at the top of the list of things that matter to me. You way up there high. So I want to make sure that I'm pouring into my family what I pour into the general environment. So we definitely have to hold each other's feet to the fire. And I know what you're capable of, and I know how impactful what you do is on the smaller scale. So I can only imagine when you fully step in and share all that you have to share, how big that's going to be. So give us a date, bro. That's it. We're waiting on the date. All right, Mr. Content, Brian Smart.
What's up?
Hi.
What's up? What's up? Grand Rising.
Grand Rising. We've said a lot.
What?
We've been busy this morning. We ready to hear from you and what you want to add to the intentionality conversation.
Yeah, I'm moving slow. I overslept this morning. Big time.
We noticed.
Yeah, big time. We talking about intentionality this morning, and
right,
step by step, a little bit at a time, right? Mm-hmm. So tomorrow's post is about that same thing, right? Okay. Step by step, a little bit at a time. It's really ironic that that's what we're talking about, but
there are no accidents and coincidences.
No accidents, no coincidences. Alignment. That's right. Alignment. And that's what this is. That's what that intentionality is. That's what that step by step is. When you start to align, you can kind of see how those steps help to bring about that alignment. Yes. Right? If you start to take it one step at a time, you can kind of see where you're going. So, I think about it when I think about saving money, right? If I have a goal and I'm set on this amount that I want in my account, mm-hmm. I start with a daily amount that I'm putting back. My mom used to laugh at me all the time, but I got it from her. She used to always put her change up every single time she leave the store. Every change that she got back, she put in a jar every single day, every time she went to the store. And at the end of the year, you're looking at what, back then it was $1 and something change every day. And at the end of the year, you were looking at an extra $400 or $500, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have to do that same thing with your mindset. You have to have 10 minutes of mindfulness every day. And at the end of the year, you're looking at over 60 hours of stress relief, of empowerment, right? All of that. When you do it one step at a time, if you're looking at content, right? If you just start out creating one post a day, if you just do one post a day, at the end of the year, you've gotten over 365 posts. Now, that's not just the number of posts that you've amassed, but you've also gained this whole new sense of self. You've got this sense of confidence. You know where you messed up at. So you got this roadmap that you can go back and look at and say, hey, this one did well. Let me double down and do more of this, right? Whatever it is, when you're taking those little bitty steps, you've got a roadmap. That roadmap is what gets you that alignment. That alignment is what gets you to where you want to be, right? So that when you have those bad days and you're feeling down, you're not look-a-hooing, rubbernecking and goosenecking, trying to figure out what everybody else is doing, because you're already in line. You dig?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Oh, you were ready for us this morning.
Well, I wasn't even planning on that. I was like you. I wasn't thinking about that until I heard what you were saying. I was like, wow, that's what I'm talking about tomorrow. Because, for me, Thursdays are always about support. So every Thursday, I try to do something, say something, give something that'll help support my audience with everything that I've given them every day prior to Thursday. So every day of the week, I'm giving out a little nugget, right? I'm teaching you something. I'm making you laugh about what I just taught you. And then Thursday, I always show you how you can put that into play. Whatever that is that we're talking about that week, Thursdays are that day that I drop a little tidbit to help you incorporate what you've learned. So,
and tomorrow is intentionality. Here's the tidbit.
Yep. That's amazing that you're talking about that today. That's really cool.
I love it. Hey, Eric King, I see you joined. Mike Lewis, blessed mom of one. Welcome. So that's great. That's that alignment, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in accidents. I believe that everything has a purpose. And, we've since the beginning, since we formed our fam, we have seen so much alignment that we know that we're on the right track. So I am
Absolutely.
and you guys are one of the things that I'm grateful for. I really like what Brian just said about the mindfulness. If you do 10 minutes of it a day, how much mindfulness practice you've amassed over time. And so just think about that. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is to begin your day with a few minutes of gratitude. That may in your space become prayer. It may become meditation, because I have a hard time thinking about the things that I'm grateful for and being in a bad mood. I have a hard time thinking about what it is that I'm grateful for and not getting into a state of prayerfulness and meditation and just allowing myself to be and realize just how blessed I am. Has nothing to do with the external circumstances. Has nothing to do with what's going on in the world, even in my little part of the world. Things can be going badly, and I can still have something to be grateful for. First of all, awareness. I've got enough sense left in this old head of mine to know that things are going bad. So I can be grateful that I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, and I have my awareness about me. There is no matter what's going on, there is something there to be grateful for. And when you realize that and you begin your day that way, you set yourself up for more to be grateful for. Because what we focus on is what we see. What we focus on and what we see is what we create. We are creating all the time. Most of the time, we just don't realize it. But we are constantly in creation mode. So you have to ask yourself, what have I built? What have I built? Is this what I intended? I'm out here in the desert and I've built an igloo. It's not going to stand. It's not going to serve me. It's melting as I'm going. I didn't survey my surroundings. I didn't assess my needs. I'm just reacting to what's going on around me, and I'm just creating whatever comes up. Oh, but if I just take a moment and step back, if I just take a moment and get clear about what it is I want to build, and then I take the time to architect it, to lay it out. What is the finished product going to look like? Before I lay that first brick, what's the finished product going to look like? Get your diagram together. And then and only then start to build. Because after you lay it out, you've got to decide. If you try to build the roof first and you haven't laid the floor and put up the walls and have the foundation all settled, you got a nice roof sitting over there, but what are you going to do with it? Lay under the roof? So you got to be very clear about what you want. Designed it. How does it look? What are the steps in the right order for me to accomplish it? And then you get busy. You don't pick up the hammer and nails until you know what the heck you're building. Right? So that's where we mess up. Sometimes we just jump right in. I've got a hammer, I've got a nail, and I'm just creating. I have no idea what I'm building. I didn't look at the floor plans. What should I be doing? Maybe what I really need is a cement truck because I need to lay the foundation. Our lives are better than that. If we decide to check in and to tap in and to get clear and to actually build something, not just build anything, but intentionally build something. And that something is what we've decided back in our quiet time when we were getting clear. That's when we decide what it is that we want. What am I crafting? What am I building? What am I creating? Is it what I really want? If it's not, go back to your plans. Take a good hard look at it and realize that you are complicit in this. You are building the life that you have. It's not by accident. It's not the man. It's not the other person. The center stage is you. Center stage is you. And so when you decide that you're going to architect the life that you really desire, now you're putting yourself in position to win. It starts with that decision. And then what does that look like? Build that floor plan. All right, here's the plan, but in what order do I execute? Lay the plan out in priority order. What comes first? Okay, I've done that. What's next? That's intentional. And then once you've done that, Now you're ready to pick up that hammer, grab you some nails, and build the life that you really desire. And after you've put in that sweat equity, you wake up and you went from a pile of rubble, you've just got stuff everywhere because you brought in all the parts, to actually having that house created. You get to go in, you get to stretch out, you get to look around and see what you've done and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But you have to put in the work. Mental work first. Understanding what it is you really want. That specificity that Jay was talking about. And we're all capable of doing it. We just have to step back and realize that we're building anyway. We're going somewhere anyway. But are we building what we desire? Are we going where we really want to go? Or are we just like the buoy, just bouncing around with the waves, whichever way? That's reactionary. You don't want to live a reactionary life, because then external circumstances are the only things that's moving you. They are in control. But when you're responsive and responsible and accountable and intentional, when you start to pull all those nice big words in to how you're showing up for yourself, then you'll start to see, you'll get to that propelling stage of life where it all comes together and you're achieving the things that you set out. But if you're wondering why, go within. Yes, life may be messed up. Yes, mom may have named you sorrow. She may have named you Jabez. But that's not where you have to stay. Because as soon as you start to make those decisions for you, then the life that you so desire is exactly the life that you're going to have. But it starts with you. All right. So that's what I wanted to share today. Thank you guys for being with us on this Wake Up Wednesday. Jay, Brian, anything you want to share before we call it a day?
Thanks for the mindset, Coach.
There you go. That's it. That's it. And in helping others with mindset, you know, a lot of times there's going to be some truth, and you have to listen to that truth, whether it be painful for your soul, because ultimately it isn't. Out of that pain, you're going to see some triumph.
That temporary discomfort will give you the strength that you need to keep moving forward. But sometimes we have to weather that temporary discomfort. If we spend all of our time running from that discomfort, we never break through and get to that next level. If we've taught our environment that they can't be truthful with us, I knew Jay wasn't going to bite my head off when I asked for that date, when I pushed a little bit, because we trust each other. He knows I'm not making an example of him. Well, I kind of am, but just a little bit. But he knows the intentions are good. He knows that I want to see him win. And I know that he's absolutely capable of accomplishing whatever it is. But he has to get out of his way. Get out of your way, brother. Set that date and get to work. That's it. That's for me. That's for Brian. That's for anybody within the sound of my voice. Whatever it is that you really want to do, set the date, build the plan, roll up your sleeves, and get to work. It'll happen. Sometimes it feels like it's not, but that's when the real strength is being formed. It'll happen. It'll happen. Believe it. Believe that it's going to happen. All right. So that is it for today, guys. We thank you so much for joining in from all over the place for Wake Up Wednesday. I'm so grateful for each one of your comments and for you being here and being so actively engaged. We will be back tomorrow morning, 7:15 a.m. Central, for Thankful Thursday. So tomorrow we look at gratitude. What is it? Why does it matter? Why do you say it's a tool? It's a way of life? There's a lot to say when it comes to gratitude. And so we will tackle that tomorrow. And we look forward to having you back with us as we do. And so for that, Brian, did I forget? Are we ready to announce anything? Help me to make sure I didn't.
Absolutely. We're still talking about soar. We're going to keep talking about I want to soar. We're going to keep talking about soar because that's what 2024 is. It's all about soaring. So be sure to check out iwannasoar.com. Be sure to join Cassandra this evening in the money mindset room. Let's not forget that. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to
I'm
it.
going to be on LinkedIn for an LinkedIn Live this afternoon at 4:30 Central with Leah Garcia, and she's a financial professional, and she asked me about mindset in the money space, in our relationship with money. So that's what we will be covering today at 4:30 Central.
And you kind of touched on that a little bit this morning,
Mm-hmm.
right? It really
Yep.
starts with that intentionality and doing it a little bit at a time, making that decision that you want better.
Yes. But you guys go to iwanttosoar.com. That will give you the opportunity to take an assessment. You'll be able to score yourself and see where you fall in the SOAR categories, where you might need to firm up some skills or do a little bit more work. And we're here to help you do that work. So go to iwanttosoar.com and take the assessment, and then we can follow up and talk about the results. So thanks for that reminder, Brian. That is it, guys. See you back here tomorrow, 7:15 a.m. Central for Thankful Thursday.
Thank
Thankful
you for
Thursday.
joining us for this
Thanks,
episode
everyone.
of the Cassandra
Guys.
Terry Morning Show. We hope
Mañana.
that you join us tomorrow for another episode. For advertising or sponsorship questions, reach out to Cassandra or any one of the